Hey everybody, Talking Time here. This is going to be my first video in quite some time, so no pun intended. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this Breguet Transatlantic Type 20. I don't usually do reviews all that much on anything. My channel maybe only has a few on it. And this is pretty much the way that I got the watch. I've only had it for about 2 weeks. I wanted this watch in particular for quite some time. It's Breguet. You know, the only thing that I can find about is other people ranting about the watch, making tons of video and just ranting about it. It's not been cleaned up, it's scratched up, it's worn. It's roughly 2009, and I'm enjoying it too much to really care about the scratches and the scuffs because I just really like it. When I got it, I was very worried about the size. I'm not a small guy. I'm 6 foot 225, and I'm used to wearing 44 mil plus watches. So when I looked at the Breguet and I saw the numbers 38 and a half and a width length lug to lug of about 46, it put me on a little bit of a worried side because I never tried one on. And one of the last watches that I really wanted was an Alon Silberstein. And with the size that one is, and the last time I ever tried on a Silberstein, I was probably 15, and I've grown. So 39 millimeter round Silberstein is kind of lost for me. I could get a bigger model, but there's issues with the bigger Silbersteins that I'm not a big fan of, especially proprietary screws. I stay well away from them. But back to this watch, it uses a modified Lamagna movement with the really neat flyback function, so I'll show you that right here. So you start it, stop it, and reset. Normal chronograph stuff. It's fine. But the flyback, you start it, and I've actually used this a few times, especially if I'm timing like flipping food or something like that, if I'm cooking like burgers or something like that, and I push it, starts immediately over again. It's an addition to the automatic Lamagna that's in there. These were made in the 50s, hence the Type 20 designation for the French Air Force. And Breguet was the lead manufacturer as far as quality goes. You can see on the back Type 20, automatic, and the Transatlantique. These were made, and they are known as the Aero Nouvelle. That's the purest form. The Aero Nouvelle is the purest model of this. And what the difference is between the Aero Nouvelle and the Transatlantique is that little date window at the 10, which comes in really handy. You're going to pay about $600 to $700 more for a Transatlantique typically than an Aero Nouvelle in the used market. The bracelet, you're going to also pay more. This is one of the most comfortable bracelets that I've ever worn. I've owned Breitlings, I've owned Rolexes, I've owned Omegas. The closest this bracelet comes to comfort is probably an Omega Seamaster bracelet, comfort-wise. Breitlings are great. They never pulled my hair. They never did anything like that. And I'm kind of fuzzy. But this never did. You have a bi-directional rotating bezel, which is typical of pilot's watches. This is a little bit of a less purist watch. Now, from what I know, the Transatlantique and the Aero Nouvelles don't have the same dimensions. This is, I think, a half millimeter bigger. I can't verify that. I've been looking. There's, I have an Aero Nouvelle to measure against the Transatlantique. But the cool thing, too, is, it's a Breguet. It's the second highest on my hit list for watches. This bracelet does have some stretch, as you can see. Lots of scuffs, been well loved, but I really wouldn't change it. It's got a screw-down crown. It's water-resistant to 330 feet, 100 meters. Really cool Breguet edge work. Man, I do have to take a cleaner to this, just a little bit, but whatever. I've been enjoying it way too much. And it's a Breguet. It's one of the oldest names in watchmaking, right behind Patek Philippe and Vacheron, I think. Could be wrong. But it's really not a member of the big three of the Holy Trinity, as it's described, which is Audemars, Patek, and Vacheron, because, well, they don't use in-house movements. and they're under the umbrella of the Swatch Group. You know, it's not on par with those other brands. It could be, but it's not. And the retail on this piece is 13.3, 13.5 for the equivalent today. This is an older model. They've now come out with the 21 and the 22 types. The Arnovel I know is like 10.5. And on the used market, you can usually snag one on a bracelet like this for roughly about 4,500, somewhere around there, 4,600 US. Again, like I said, it's a little bit dirty. It's got this really cool clasp too. So it just shuts, and it's seamless, which I really like. It's really utilitarian, and it glows. So I'll shut off the lights real quick, and you can see that happen. Now that's some great lume. It really is. It's Super Luminova. This is a 2009 model. The earlier ones, of course, had tritium, which really ages to a really awesome brown. Not a ton to say. I'll show it to you on my wrist again. It's a 6.5-inch wrist, and it fits rather well on a 6.5-inch wrist. Excuse the hands. So that's 6.5 inches. Okay. If you're used to wearing bigger watches, you're going to have to get used to it. Because I was used to wearing big watches, and I just had to. It's got a domed sapphire crystal that is anti-reflective on the inside. This will show little fingerprints and smudges, a lot easier than other watches, but I love the deep black dial. I mean, it's enamel. I mean, it looks like enamel to me. I couldn't find anything in the specs, but it's very shiny, and I've been looking at it close with a loupe, and there are no flaws on the dial. I don't see anything wrong with the dial at all. These numbers should have black in them. I've been thinking about putting black back in them and sending it back to a spa day, but honestly, with all the numbers being ghost, I don't really care about that either. It's just a really awesome timepiece, and it's a Breguet, and I've wanted one for forever, and I have one. I can't really con the watch except for a modern size. You know, if you're looking for a modern size Breguet, you're going to be looking at the Type 21 or the Type 22, which are in the 44 millimeter range. They do have a different movement. It's going to be more of a Lamania 5100 layout, where you're going to have a minute counter and a second counter, and then this dial over here will be your 24-hour. And I don't know where the market is on this. I could have bought another Rolex. Didn't really want one. Don't really care about them, and I don't like their business practices. They're a great watch. Rolexes are phenomenal watches, and their resale value is awesome. You know, you get the right model. But I want something a little different, little clean. This is still down to, you know, you can still harken this back to the Type 20 roots. And I would pick one up, and I don't really see getting rid of this one anytime soon. I have a Bell & Ross. I have a Roger Dubuis. I have a and I have a just a little beater Movado, but this is pretty much my daily. And that's about it. Great resale price, or retail price to used price, is a big drop. Like with most luxury items, excluding Rolex and Patek, you know, 5711 that you'll never be able to get your hands on. But you get a Breguet, you get a watch that Napoleon had, that Churchill had, that, you know, is written about in literature, that, you know, they do play onto their heritage. I would highly recommend this watch. If you can shell out the cash, it's really, I think I tried a Speedmaster. I've owned 3 Speedmasters, and I tried to fill the gap of the Breguet with a Speedmaster. So the Speedmaster will satisfy me. It didn't. I tried 3 times, 3 different occasions, and I just bit the bullet and brought the Breguet, and have no regrets. Thinking about putting it on a strap, but that bracelet is like silk, and it's way too comfortable. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope my second video in a very long time has answered some questions. If not, leave a comment below. Thanks. Have a good night.